Welcome everybody. Today we are here with Matt, who is has been wearing a hair system now. He's been wearing it for about a month and a half now. How you doing, Matt?
Doing great, man. How you doing?
Dude, I'm so good. It's relatively early in the morning. I've been off coffee for like 2 months, so I'm energized and ready to go.
Oh, whew. I haven't done that. I haven't made that journey yet. I went vegan about 6 months ago and cut out the meat and dairy, and that's one thing I haven't cut out yet is the coffee. I love that too much.
I hear you, man. I hear it. It's tough. So let's get down to brass tacks, man. So you've been wearing a hair system for a month and a half, right? How you doing with it?
Oh man, I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
It's been a learning experience, but it's all part of the journey, and it's been something that I've enjoyed having. And I mean, it's funny. My wife asked me this morning, and my wife was asked me, she's like, "Do you still like your hair?" And I said, "I don't like it. I love it. I mean, it's super fun, man. Why to go from not having it to having it. I mean, it's something I've always wanted. So to me, I've always thought of it like I believe it's always been there. It just wasn't there. So now that it is there,
Yeah.
it's just like, man, it's just an extension of myself.
So what you're saying to me is you believed hard enough and it just magically sprouted up.
With a little bit of research and patience and moolah.
The secret is one hell of a thing, man. The universe is just sending you what you want, including
Right,
here. That's great.
right.
So that's cool, man. So you're married. How has that been? Did you make this decision entirely yourself? Did you include your wife in it? Did she have any input or any opinion or what?
I mean, she was 100% supportive all the way. I mean, I've been, I started losing my hair, whenever I was in high school. I was always had a high receding hairline. It always went way back, So
Hmm.
whenever I started getting in my early 20s, it was one of those things where it's like, once it gets, I started doing the whole Caesar thing where I would comb it forward, and then it just got to the point where it was the point of no return, and I started shaving. So
Dude, you can
I
only
started
comb it
shaving
forward
it.
so much.
Right, right. So I did that for, and so I was bald for 25 years. I'm 45 now, so 25 years, and I mean, I always said that God gives bald people nice shaped heads. And I could totally rock the bald thing, and it didn't bother me. I mean, and it was how people knew me. It was my identity. So I mean, it wasn't a thing that I was always like, oh no, I'm ashamed of it or this or that. But as you tend to wear a hat a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously when I didn't go to work or went to work or something like that, I wouldn't wear it. Because I work in a semi-professional environment. But other than that, I mean, but I always said that hats are like a different haircut. So I mean, I always like to wear different hats and do this and do different things. But as far as her being a part of it, she was supportive the whole way, and she loves it now. And it's funny because if she sees me, do a cleaning or something now, she says, "Wow, you look so weird without your hair." So to me, it's
Yeah.
like, hey, yeah, that's just positive reinforcement.
Sure. Yeah. So you said you were bald or you shaved your head for about 25 years, right?
Yeah,
So people obviously had a impression of what your outward persona looked like. You were
yeah,
Matthew, the shaved head or bald guy, and all of a
yeah,
sudden, you said you've been wearing for a month and a half. So I'm assuming this is your
yeah.
first hair system that you have on right now, right?
This is my first. I've got two
Yeah.
units.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you didn't exactly choose the shortest hairstyle to make the
No,
transition. It wasn't like,
no.
oh, this guy, like, have I just not seen him in like a couple weeks and his hair is kind of like growing or he's taking Rogaine or something? Like, you
Right.
just went full force into this thing.
Hey man, if you're gonna be a bear, be a grizzly.
Dude, wow. That's what I love, man. That might have to be the title of this video. Being a grizzly bear with Matthew. No, that's really awesome. How have you made that transition though with other people? A lot of people on this channel, in the comments, a lot of times I think that one of the things that holds people back is their fear of the perception that other people might have of that transition that they're making. Thinking
Right.
like, oh man, people are gonna think I'm weird, or that like they know I bald and now I don't have hair. I can't make that transition smoothly. How have you managed that?
Right. Well, it's funny because I always the industry that I work in, I'm in quality control. And kind of we build modular gas processing plants. So I'm involved with a lot of vendors, a lot of people, and and a lot of fabrication, and so I come from a quality background. I come from a background where we procedures, rules, codes, all these things, and what that does is it creates standards, it creates and what I always say is that a lot of people don't pay attention to the details, and what I mean by that is that really realistically people don't pay attention to you. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but people get so hung up on like, oh my God, my hairline or this or that, or they're going to be worried about what are they going to think, or what are they going to say. To be actually honest, it's hilarious because a lot of my coworkers haven't seen it because obviously with the environment we're in now, I've had to work from home, and I'm blessed to be able to do so. But it's funny that a lot of my family have seen it, and my stepfather, he's been in my life ever since the third grade. So I mean, obviously, he's known me for a long time. And whenever the first time I wore it over there, I don't say anything, and of course, my mother knew, and she, she's a hairdresser, and so she was like, "Man, it looks so natural. It looks so, it looks so good." And my father-in-law was like, "Yeah, hey, when'd you grow your hair out?"
Yeah.
So it's kind of funny because it's been kind of a mixed blessing in this time that I've separated. And obviously, like you've said in some of your videos, by wearing a hat, a lot of times people don't pay attention to what you look like before. So I think if you just go with it and rock it, people aren't going to. If you bring it up, then it's one thing. But like I said, most people aren't even going to pay attention to it.
Yeah.
I mean, and what I mean, it's funny. My gym opened back up, so I started going back to the gym, and obviously I always wear a hat every time I went to the gym. So now I'm not wearing a hat, and with having a longer hairstyle, I'll pull it up and have it up, and a couple of the guys came up to me and they're like, "Wow, man, I never knew you had hair. You're always wearing a hat."
Yeah.
So I mean, I think it's one of those things. If you just own it, I mean, what's it going to hurt if somebody does know? It doesn't hurt anything. It's you. It's all about you and how you are and how you want to be, and that's the way I see it.
Yeah, and I love that you just said that at the end there, how one, you have to own it, and two, if someone comes up to you, like it's so rare, and most of the time if they ever do, it's never, dude, you're wearing a hair system, or they'll say, or they won't say this because they don't know, but they're like, dude, you're wearing a wig. It's usually like, oh, I didn't know that you, for some reason I just thought that you didn't have hair, or like you were bald or something like that. They assume, right? And an assumption is very easy. It's a very easy frame to break with someone, if you choose to not tell them at that moment, which in my opinion, I think that's a great opportunity because it's super liberating. But not everyone agrees, and not everyone has to. But an assumption is a very easy frame for you to break in someone else. Meaning, if they assume, they're like, oh, well, I just assumed that you lived in Tulsa. You could say, and you're on vacation in Florida. You could say, no, I just actually live in New York, and they're gonna be like, oh, okay. It's a very easy thing to navigate. And the biggest thing around those conversations, I think, that people don't understand is that confidence is everything. Like, to be honest, man, like if you did not tell me that you were wearing a hair system, I 100% would walk by you on the street and I would just be like, this dude just has like really luscious locks and he's vibing with it. It's just such an interesting thing, how confidence is often the missing key. And number two, if you don't have to go around telling anybody or anyone, really. Like, it's not a, I think sometimes people also make this really dramatic thing, right? Because in our minds, we always think that we're like the center of the world. We're egocentric, generally, and we think that everyone is looking at us at every single moment, and that we have to explain ourselves or give this like Shakespearean dialogue every single day about our journey. When in reality, like, no one really cares. That's the
And I know you don't mean anything bad by that, but it's the absolute honest truth. Nobody really cares. Nobody cares, and the people that do care are probably so insecure about something about themselves that they've got to project that onto somebody else.
Sure.
And so whenever somebody's giving you crap, or they're giving you about anything in life, You know, I mean, it's more times than not, it's because they're so insecure about themselves that they're going to try to bring you down to their level. And if you have the confidence and you've got the faith and you've got the, the gumption and the, the, the just to say, screw it, I'm going to be me no matter what, then it doesn't matter. You know, I mean, it's the old saying when you're a little kid, I'm rubber, you're glue. What bounces off you stays, bounces off you and sticks to me. You know, it sticks to you. You know, that thing, so it's one of those deals to where it really doesn't matter. You know, to me, it's about being the best you.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I believe in the Trinity, a holy Trinity inside yourself, mind, body, and spirit. You got to feed all three of those things. If you don't feed those things, I don't think you can be a balanced person. And so that means that if you can do all these things and you can be these things to yourself, then you can be those things to other people as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, and confidence is one of those keys. Mm-hmm. You know, being confident in yourself. You don't have to be the king of the world. You don't have to be a CEO. You don't have to be all these things. You can just be you and just be the best you, and that's it. And as long as you're doing that and you're rocking that, that's all you can do, man. And that's all you can do.
Yeah, I think that's really good. And also, I know that, so the demographics of the channel watching is predominantly right now in the 24 to 35 age bracket. And I know a question or a concern that a lot of them have is around being intimate or basically romantics, right? They're concerned about what women will think of them having a hair system. And I think that, the overall impression is that they think that women are going to think that they're weird. But it's really funny because I think one thing a lot of men don't get, I'm also speaking to myself right now, is that women take care of themselves very, very, very well. And they do it for one, themselves, but, also to, they want to look attractive. They want to, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's a great thing. And women who do that generally want men who take care of themselves. And that might be, going to the gym and taking care of their body, or, the way that they eat, the way they take care of their professional life. Like, I think men, we get obsessed with thinking that women want like this like phallic, untouchable symbol of being impenetrable and perfect, when in reality, I think that they're actually looking for someone that they can see is trying to grow and take care of themselves in every aspect of their life. And they forget the fact that if you're confident, number one, that's huge. But if you're wearing a hair system, you're confident, and once again, you don't need to tell someone right like that. But if the conversation ever comes up with someone that you're dating or you're courting or whatever it might be, I think that they would actually probably be more impressed that you went out on a limb and you did something unique to improve your appearance for you, and that made you more confident. And I think that's something that just people, they're scared. They're too scared to realize that that's actually potentially a truth.
Yeah, it's about being real. It's about being real with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about being, like I said, about when you're striving to be the best person you can be, then you can be the best person you can be for somebody else. And if you are in a situation when, you're worried about, like I said, if you're in this situation where you're worried about telling somebody, then that might not be the right person. Because if 100%. You're totally comfortable with whoever it may be that you want to be with, then you should be able to tell them those things and be able to share those things. And if it's something that's putting you in a positive direction, no matter what it is, like you said, if it's diet, if it's exercise, if it's a hair system, if it makes you feel good, then it should all be about that. It should be about people wanting to lift people up. And that's what we need to do, and that's what we need to do more of in general in society. Lift each other up, man, not tear each other down.
That's so good, man. And that is part of the the truth that sometimes is kind of tough to talk about as men. But listen, if someone is not supporting you, if they're cutting you down when you're trying to be your best, or you're trying to develop yourself, there's a good chance that might happen, and that is a very, very big red flag in any aspect of your life. Like if you want to start getting more healthy and fit, and someone else is
Yeah.
discouraging you from going to the gym, that's a really, to me, that's a warning sign. If
Yep.
someone doesn't want to support you in you getting a better nutrition plan inside of your life, and they want to keep on encouraging you to eat junk food, and they're not supporting you on the journey, that's a warning sign. If someone doesn't want you to look better, and there's a couple reasons that someone might not want you to look better, with like a hair system, they could be afraid that if you start looking better, that you're going to go look for someone else who's more attractive, right? So they might try to keep you down. They might like having that power. There's so many things, but the point of it is that like a true partner in life, like you said, and I'm sure your wife is this to you, always encourages you to do what you need to do for your own development, and
Yeah.
they accept you unconditionally, whatever choice that you make.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, that that's so good because we all have when you're younger, you have this idea of this perfect person, that's out there and this and that, and I believe that the perfect person is the imperfect person. You need that person that's going to give you some crap. I mean, you're not going to grow unless you have somebody that, if you got everything you wanted all the time, then you wouldn't get anything emotionally, and physically, and spiritually. If you got everything handed to you, you didn't have to work for anything, then you wouldn't learn it. I mean, and then that's in life, that's in work, that's in your relationships, that's with your friends, with your wife, with your boss, no matter what. You always got to hustle, man. You always got to work. It's never going to be easy, and that's the beauty of it. And it's the same thing with the hair system. It's not. I think people want to give up too fast. They want to be like, oh, this is not working, or it doesn't look right, or it's just like with my hairstyle I got now. When I first put my hair system on, it looked terrible, because it was too far back. But then because I was going off the four finger rule, forehead, and all that jazz. I put it on there and was like, holy crud, this looks bad, But I learned, and then I took it off and I moved it forward, And then
Yeah.
when I first put it on, I went with more of a, everybody likes the undercut, everybody likes that, slick back style and this and that, and I did that a little bit, but then I and this was from encouragement from my wife because she was like, "Oh, I like it." I came out of the shower one time and I kind of had it like this, and I just put some conditioner in it and kind of had it falling down, and she's like, "Ooh, I like that style." And so I was like, "You know what? If baby likes, I like." So I started wearing it, and I like it like this. It's a little
Yeah.
bit more free. It's a little bit more, it's a little bit more of that messy style, and that's fine. But I mean, I can still, I can pull it up if I want to, and kind of have it up here if I at the gym, and it's just one of those things where it's just it is what it is, and I like the way it looks, and it works for me. And that's the thing about it. I think is finding what works for you and going with that.
Yeah, that's so good. So kind of transitioning to your system. What type of system are you wearing? Like what type of base is it?
It's the poly base. It's the O3 system. I got it from Curtis.
Okay.
That's kind of how I found the whole. I went down the YouTube rabbit hole basically.
Yep.
One time, I love looking stuff up on YouTube. I'm always, whether it's van life stuff or it's this or it's whatever I'm interested in. I'm always looking up videos. So I happened to find one of his videos and was like, whoa, wait a minute. And we both know, we've looked at, his hair systems are great the way, he's really developed his style, and it's like, man, that looks completely freaking natural.
Yeah.
So that's what got me interested, and I started looking up other people's videos, and Chris L, or, and some of these other people, and, I'm like, wow, if these cats can do it, I can do it. So, and a lot of it, and what has worked for me too is the fact that, and what's made mine look so natural is that I did reach out to somebody, and I did, because I grew my hair out, and I made the template, sent it to him, and I sent a sample of my hair, and that's what was really, so he was able to match my hair to and the, because and that was the thing I was afraid of was it's going to be too dark, it's going to be too light, it's going to have enough gray in it, And so whenever I let somebody do that for me, and I got the system and was able to put it on, it was like, I mean, because you can see the way that, I mean, anybody that's ever seen it, I mean, it blends so well.
Yeah.
So I think that's the key is getting don't be afraid, because it's got a lot more gray in it than I would have picked.
Mm-hmm.
But that's okay, because it worked out, because now that I have it, it's like, oh, it's completely natural and it looks great. So it's a poly system. It's got the V loop. It was the 8x10. It was a 6-inch. It kind of got the natural. I would have picked a straighter style, but
Mm-hmm.
this kind of has the natural curl. And you know what? It worked out for me, and I like it.
Yeah, no, it looks great. What density is it?
Like 65%.
Okay, yeah, so it's a little bit lighter. That's great.
Yeah,
well,
and like I said, I'm in my 40s, so I don't want anything too thick, dude.
Yeah,
It's not gonna
for
look
sure.
right.
And that's a great message for other people, because I almost guarantee that everyone is going to choose a density that's too much at the beginning, unless they, even most stylists, from what I've seen, like, you have to find a really, really good stylist if you're gonna, choose to have a partner. And I'm a big proponent of have a partner, even if you're not going to use them 100% of the time. Have a partner that's a professional. Like, if you're building a house, right, you can do some of this stuff yourself, but you might want to have a general contractor that you might want to call over for an hour and be like, hey, dude, I'll pay you. Just I need some advice here, right? Like, people, the good partner, the heart of a teacher, will do that. Someone who just wants to grab your money will not do that, because they just want to get you suckered in. But you can find someone who's a teacher. There are people out there. Anyways, that looks great. For those out there, like right now, I'm in a medium light density, which is, it's even borderline, I would say, too thick for me. It's just at that cusp, but like when I first get the unit, people probably have noticed that it's just like a little bit more puffy. And part of that is the overall density, just the volume of hair, but part of it also is the unit has to kind of like relax as it gets used with like shampoo and just daily use and sweat and stuff. It'll start to like calm down, but people don't take into consideration. This is like one of the greatest keys. Curtis has talked about it in some of his videos. Go back and look at pictures of you with hair before. Look at the density of your hair. You can go a little bit further. You can push it a little bit further, but you're gonna have some bio hair, right? So you need it to match the volume, not just density, but people don't talk about this. The volume of your hair, like, yours has a medium volume to it. Have you done any blow drying to it, or is that just like wash it and you?
No.
Okay.
This is just what he does. I washed it probably Monday is the last time I washed it.
Okay.
And I just put the conditioner in it,
Great.
The leave-in conditioner, and kind of just work my fingers through it. I don't even use a brush, know. And if you're kind of going off what you were saying about the density, pay attention to other people's hair, people that have hair. I constantly, when I go out, I'm looking at other guys' hairlines. And and older people's hairlines and young people's hairlines. Everybody's in. For one, they're not perfect, and for two, they're a lot less dense than people think. Unless you're a certain ethnicity, of an Asian descent, or I'm part American Indian, and I've got some relatives that got some thick hair.
Sure.
But my grandpa, he's full blood Creek Indian, and he lost his hair, and it's he has no hair and it's white. So I mean, it just depends on what genetic lot you're given. But the cool thing about having a hair system is you can cheat a lot. Because now I can have I'm not confined by mortal hair constraints. What I'm saying? I mean, I can have whatever hairstyle I want now.
That's great,
if I want to change it up and do a long one, I can do a long one. If I want to do a short one, I can do a short one.
Yeah, I love that. It's so good. Are you using a silicone based adhesive, or are you using acrylic? What are you using?
I'm using the Clear Bond.
A Clear Bond Ultra Hold?
Yeah, on the front, I tape the 3/4, and then I do the hairline on the front, Clear Bond.
Okay, awesome. What Clear Bond are you using?
It's just the one that Curtis sent. That was one of those things I did. I bought the little kit that he provides. That way, it's like, what, now I can, and I've found some things, and like I said, I haven't used all of it up, so, I'm going to try some different products and see what works and what doesn't, but, right now, I'm like you. I'm very active. I go to the gym. I run. On Monday, I spent all day digging ditches for doing some French drains in my house, and it's humid here, and I sweat like a son of a gun. And so it's like I'm really putting these systems to the test to see what works and what doesn't work. And you and I both know that that tape, that stuff stays on there, dude. Unless them, even when you have it on there for a couple of weeks, you still got to use that release to get that off there.
Yeah.
And it seems like whenever you use like the clear bond or use the glues up front, it'll kind of get it almost like it floats. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it'll kind of get to where when it gets moisture and you get hot, it kind of wants to move around a little bit, but it never comes up.
No.
And then once you kind of like cool down and your body cools down, it'll tighten right back up.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't be afraid of, because that was kind of the first thing that I did whenever I first put it on, and was because I've been trying to get my mileage back up and running again, and then I get my hair system, and I'm like, oh God, I can't run. I don't want to get it hot. I don't want it to come up. And then I was like, what am I afraid of? If it comes up, I just fix it. So boom, I'm out there. I'm doing it. I'm sweating, and if it starts lifting, then I just fix the hairline. It's not a big deal. I mean, I try to treat everything as a meditation. Even things that aren't, I've been through a lot of things in my life, and one thing that I've learned is to not put yourself in a box. And I think that a lot of times people are afraid to get outside of your box, and they're afraid of failure, they're afraid of losing, they're afraid of missing out, they're afraid of these things that in all actuality can be blessings. Because I think that the things that you're most afraid of are probably the things that want to teach you the most. For instance, running. I mean, I was always like, oh, my knees are bad, blah, 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 I can't run. And then, one day I was like, you know what, I'm going to start doing it. And so 2 years ago when I started running, I joined a group, which was a really great idea, to have somebody push you. And like you said, you should have support in anything you do. Having that community, just like this with the hair system. That's how you learn things. That's how you find these things out by being with people and communicating and sharing the journey with them. And so when I started running, at first I sucked at it, but then I got better. And did it ever get easier? Hell no, it didn't get easier, but I got better at it.
Mm-hmm.
And I reaped the benefits of it. And so now, in that first year, I went from not running to doing a 5K, and in 3 and 4 months, I did a half marathon. And
so
and was like, you know what? If you're gonna do it, do it.
Yeah.
I mean, don't let people tie you down. Don't let your own mind tie you down. You know what I'm saying? If you want to do something, get out there and do it. If you want to hear system, do it. Don't be afraid. If you want to, learn something. If you want to get tattoos. If you want to, if you want to get a new job. If you want to, don't ever let things just tie you down, because you're going to get in that rut. And we all do it. It's easy. I mean, it's easy to, well, I'm going to eat the same thing forever. Oh, I don't, it can be as silly as, well, I only drink this type of beer, or I only do this, or I only eat that, or, you're missing out on so many things that life can give us, and so many blessings that we can receive by not just getting outside and trying something new. Hey, you might not like it. Guess what? Don't do it again.
I love it.
But guess what? You might find something you really enjoy, and it might be your life's passion. And it's right there waiting for you. And if you don't do it, if you don't get out there and try new things, then you're never going to know.
I love that. That's so good, man. One of my favorite expressions, or shall I say sayings, is that on the other side of fear is everything you desire. Because, like you said, a lot of times our fear is a teacher, and it's something that I think often people are afraid to go through a period of change and transition and metamorphosis to get whatever it is that they want. But that is the key to success in anything. It's like, we always see the end result. Like, we want to change our life, or we want to change our career, or we want to change our look, right? There is a period of change where the butterfly goes into a cocoon, and people think that that's a beautiful process. It's painful. This thing is growing, and literally, like, pushing itself out of this cocoon that's holding it in, and it probably feels like hell inside of that. And you know, so with hair systems, you know, you've touched on that, like it's a trial and error process. And you know, we'll talk a little bit more in a second around how you're a DIYer, and you know what your processes look like in the dip and stuff. But that's almost anything in life is very, very similar, and fear is something that holds so many people back. And you never know what's going to be on the other side of it. You know, like I started this channel, right? Like I just felt that someone needed to talk about this stuff a little bit more. So there's very few people that were talking about it, and I actually, like you said, I wound up finding a passion for this, and I have been looking for deeper meaning inside of my life. And it sounds silly to say this, but this has given me so much fulfillment and deeper meaning. And I don't know where the journey is going to take me, but I know it's going to take me somewhere awesome, because for the first time in my life, I'm seeing the change that I'm already, not just but the whole community is having in people's life. And if there's 90 million people suffering from hair loss inside of the US alone, like that's, and they're dealing with these emotional problems, and that could result in depression. It could result in them having less of a social life and having less of a career because they're holding themselves. Like, man, that's a chance for me to have massive transformation inside of men's life. But anyways, getting back to sorry, go ahead.
It's one of those things, like you said. I mean, it's instead of being, you know, we consume so much. You know, we are natural consumers. We take, you know, and by simple acts of giving, like you're doing through this channel, you're giving back. You know, you're giving information. You give much. I mean, I've watched all your videos. You give much more than just, you know, this isn't just the tips and tricks and, you know, the wazoos and the, you know, the special things about hair systems. You delve into deeper meanings, and there's things that, you know, what you see on the outside is just superficial. You know, realistically, you know, it's just what people see and what we see of ourselves. But what we really need to look is on the inside, you know, and that's what you're saying, and I believe in that, and I totally agree that by, you know, looking in on ourselves and finding out what we can give to others is how we really, really end up learning and reaching that fulfillment.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. So you've been in this journey for about a month and a half, and you've been pretty much doing it yourself. You know, you've touched on the fact that a lot of this is a journey, and we kind of need to go through that process of change. What have you discovered, and mostly, you know, DIYing it?
You know, I mean, the main thing is, you know, don't be afraid to try it. You know, I mean, the worst thing you can do is screw it up, and you just take it up. You know, I mean, the thing that you know, from watching the videos, you know, like I said, I use the tape on the perimeter, and then I glue the front. So, you know, what I do is, you know, first thing to do is, if you want to, you know, do anything, and you should already have one of these anyway, is have a mannequin, you know, a styrofoam mannequin head. That way you can pin it, and you can really be able to apply the tape without having to, you know, hold it down or roll up a towel and stick it on the towel. You know, that way you can really pin it down and be precise with the tape. And, you know, I don't really care if I, like, you know, put the tape all the way around it. If I have some gaps in it, to me, I think that's good, because with having a poly system, I don't have a lot of air flow in there. Yeah. So having maybe a little gaps on the side, I think, you know, because believe me, it's not coming up, you know. So, but I know that I'm not the first person to ever think of this. But what really, really was a really great hack, and I love doing it, is whenever I do my front hairline, I use like a painter's tape. And what that does is, and this is actually kind of more of a plastic tape, but what I do is I take the tape, and obviously it's real thick, but then, you know, I peel a piece of it like that, and then I just use my scissors and I cut it down into little pieces. And so what I do is, you know, whenever I'm doing my hairline, I'll roll it forward, and then I'll put the piece on there, and then I basically roll down, and I put the pieces of tape and make that half circle all the way around. And what that does is does two things. It creates a perimeter for the glue not to go past, because that's what we're always afraid of. with the glue going too far down,
Sure.
or dripping. And then another thing is the thickness of the tape. It's so thin, but what that does is it creates a little barrier of bond. So whenever you put that glue on there, it comes up to the thickness of the tape, and whenever you peel it off, you have a perfect hairline, a perfect glue line. Excuse me, perfect glue line. So whenever you put it down there, you're done, and there's no fit, and I don't ever have anything to clean up. So that's probably my best hack that I like using. And like I said, it's always adjusting, but using the tape has really been a game changer, because you're always worried about the first time I put it down, and then I'd have the little I was making the little dots, trying to do the hairline, and then I would put the glue on top of the dot. Then I'm like, trying to get that off there, and it just was a big mess. So I was thinking, well, how can I make this? And then I was like, wait a minute, I'll just and as long as you use the alcohol, make sure that your skin's super dry. And I'm lucky because I'm not a very oily person anyway. But that tape will stay on there, that painter's tape, and it's on there, dude. And then you just peel it off, and you got a perfect glue line.
Dude, I love that. I think we're gonna have to make a video just on that one topic, because I think that's I've never seen anyone use that as like a do-it-yourself hack, but I think I totally see the value in that, and that's
super simple.
Yeah, so either I'm gonna have you make a video and we'll put it on the channel, because you got to get credit for doing that one right there, or if you'll let me lease that theory, I'll explain it to people. But
I was I redid my hairline this morning, and I was already thinking this would probably be a really cool video to do, because and the cool thing about it too is when you're worried about putting the glue on there, you're always worried, especially since my style is a little bit longer, you're worried about the hair getting in the glue.
Yeah.
And when you put the tape on there, even if you get a piece of hair underneath the tape, you just grab the hair and it'll just pull right out from underneath the tape and just falls right back down. So you don't have, so it's able to create that barrier between the glue and the skin, but you're still able to get that hair out of the way, that whenever you do fill it back and pin it up, totally completely out of the way.
Dude, that's huge. I love that. That's so good. I hope people watch all the way through this video. Oh man. Okay. Well, Matt, thank you so much for being available and being transparent and being vulnerable and sharing your story with people. Before we wrap this up, is there any last nugget? You've given so many value bombs for people watching this. I hope that they watch all the way through. Is there anything as a last message that you'd like to share with the people on the channel?
Just don't be afraid, man. Don't be afraid. I love the quotes, and I love learning, seeing different things. And one of my favorite quotes, and one of my almost mantras that I have and play in my head all the time, is that 99% of the things we fear are going to happen never do.
Yeah. So
we're afraid all the time of things. Or what if this? What if? That 99% of the time, those things never happen. Mm-hmm. So guess what? Before we started, I consider myself a failurist, because guess what? That's life, man. We're going to fail, and it's okay, because when you fail, you learn. And if we didn't fail, we couldn't learn anything. So don't be afraid. Just don't be afraid to go out there and try it. It's there's no secret. There's enough information out there for people to learn. And if you're not that kind of person that does the DIY, then go find a good, a person to do it for you. And like you said, find somebody you trust, and find somebody that's willing to do the journey with you.
Love it, man. Thank you so much, and thank you everybody who's watching this. Please like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Only about 23% of you are subscribed, so I know you're out there, and I'm coming to find you. We'll see you guys later.